So you guys are building a dry side pot here. There's no money on the side. This is where I actually might seriously consider.
The game is $5 on the button. It's a home game in Alabama. There's no blinds.
So just $5 on the
are-
button. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Is that live? Is that like a blind?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a $5
You can
blind.
make it whatever you want, but that's it.
Oh, huh. Can you make it like 0?
No, you can make five or more.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. It's not really a great setup for a game, but I mean, if people are happy with it in a home game, fine. But when you actually think about that setup, it's putting in blind money in position. Just there should always be blind money from. I mean, No Limit's supposed to be played with an ante. So when you think about this, it's just kind of crazy. But okay, $5 blind on the button. Yep.
The hijack opens to 20. I call, and then the button calls.
You have what was it again? King of clubs, Jack of spades.
Yes.
And then the button also calls.
Yes.
All right. So this is the first inflection point here, I would say, of the hand, because it's really interesting, and it might get washed over because when I was reading your email, this guy starts with 100, who's the opener from the hijack. So he's really like 20 big blinds effective. But in live poker, when you see typical 4x open sizes, it's really even shorter than that. You really do kind of have an in-between hand here where it's like, it's actually really, really close. And it might be one of the few hands that I might actually put in a calling range into this particular size. I mean, some people would say, hey, just 3-bet, get it in. Because you can't really 3-bet fold, right? I mean, you can't make it like 55 and fold. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be getting like 3-1. So it's really weird. Whereas I would definitely probably be 3-betting it in with like 9s plus, good suited broadways, things like that. It seems just a little bit on the nitty side to just fold, but I guess I could. It's just interesting because the guy's so short. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't want to 3-bet because normally I 3-bet from cutoff or button, based on things I've learned to listen to. But I didn't want the button to fold, and she had close to my money, so that was the reason I didn't want to 3-bet.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of out there doing stuff, so I didn't really think it was worth it.
Yeah, I just think it's close, just as a thing. Okay, so all right, let's go to the flop.
Flop is the queen of spades, 10 of clubs, and the 6 of clubs.
And you have king of clubs, jack of spades.
Yes.
So you flop open ended.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the cutoff bet's 25. I call, and the button raises to 80. The cutoff is all in, and I decide to call.
Yeah. Hero calls. I mean, at that point, you can't really do much. I mean, except for if you ever want to make the case to like raise the flop to try to get in with the guy, and maybe he folds like ace king or something like that. But who knows even if the cutoff is going to do that. Once it goes 80 and then the other guy is all in, I mean, it's only like 55 back for you, and the pot is like 225 or something like that. So you're getting over 5-1. I mean, I don't think that there's any, you can't fold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
So the turn is the 9 of spades.
Pot's 300, by the way. Okay, turns a 9 of spades, so you got gin.
Yeah, feeling good. Here, I check. So the button bet's 150, and then this is where I made this. People disagree, but I had a reason for it. Button bet's 150. I made it 450, and the reason I chose 450 was like my stack size and setting up a river bet that worked well for the pot.
Why do people think that's a mistake? Just out of curiosity.
I just had there's people that, I mean, they're not necessarily the best at it, but some people were telling me I should have raised more, or I should have just got it in. Because I don't know, I didn't think any of that was right. I didn't have the stack size to raise more. I thought that was bad, and I didn't want to flat. So,
by the way, I'm just adjusting this in the notes because I think so. It's the hijack that bets 25, hero calls, button to 80, hijack calls all in, hero calls, turns the 9. So hero makes the nuts. Hero checks, button bets 150. Hero raises here to 450. So raises to 450, and at this point, if the button calls, the pot will be like 900, like 1200, and you guys
Yeah.
will have like, I don't know, 7, 8, 900 left. I mean, I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with the play. I just, the interesting thing here about the turn, I mean, what do people think that you should raise more? I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's 3x. I mean, the interesting thing about the turn here, and I think what a lot of people might sort of wash over is that when you have someone all in, so in this case, the hijack is all in, right? So you guys are building a dry side pot here. There's no money on the side. This is where I actually might seriously consider leading if I were you on the turn because here's the thing, the guy in position, if he had like a front door club draw here, like, and maybe he's not necessarily thinking in this level, the button, he should be checking back with a club draw like nearly 100% of the time. There's no value in betting against you really here because he has to win the main pot against the guy that's all in. So unless somehow like, I mean, there are some weird situations where he gets you off of a better hand, which you don't have here, and then he has the best draw or something and somehow wins against the hijack. But if I put myself in the button spot, like I'm checking through here with a club draw all day long. So whether you lead or check, you have to consider that. But when you check raise here to 450, which I think is a fine play, he really shouldn't have clubs all that much. Now, he might have, now you said it's queen of spades, 10 of clubs, 6 of clubs, 9 of spades. So, you got to look at the distribution of the suits on the backdoor end. So he can't have top pair in the backdoor spade draw, but he could have like 10x in the backdoor spade draw. I still seem to think that, those hands would take a card here a lot. So does the button call your raise?
Yeah, so here's the thing. This is where I lost touch with the hand, and I think I messed up. So the button takes forever, and I have a lot of history with these players, especially the button. Takes forever. She never takes forever. And she makes a comment saying, I don't know how I can be beat right now. Like, that was her comment.
Okay.
I don't know how I can be beat. And then she calls.
Okay.
So you can tell me if I'm wrong here. I put her, like, she's only got one combo draw, two combo draws. She has queen jack of clubs or the 9-8 of clubs. I didn't think she had anything else. I thought she had every two pair, middle set, bottom set, and that's where I was at. I didn't think she had
you
clubs.
you bring up another combo of hand that might bet turn, which is queen jack of clubs. So she could have queen X of clubs here too. That is definitely possible. It is interesting, that weird little speech, but looks like the pot's 1200. All right, what's the river?
River's the 8 of clubs. I took and this is where I got some criticism too, but River's the 8 of clubs, so puts 3 clubs up there.
And it puts a one-liner out there to a jack too, but you beat any like queen jack that's not clubs, right?
Yeah.
Queen 10, 6, 9, 8, right? And it looks like you guys have probably maybe 850 left. She's got 850 or so left in her stack.
Yeah, I got around 800, so I think I'm somewhere in there.
Yep.
So I went all in.
Man. Here's the thing. So, yeah, and another thing too, people are saying in the chat is, could she have jack 8? But I mean, remember, you got to go back to hand reading though. Like, is the button just raising with a naked jack 8 on the flop? Because the hijack who's short bet 25, hero calls. Why would the button make it 80 against somebody who's going to go with jack 8? That makes very, very little sense, right? Because we're dealing with a short stack here. But it's interesting because when the button raises the flop, so you'd think that would skew it towards more of a sort of a made type of hand. Again, the side pot here is 900. So the side pot is actually quite built up. It's much bigger than what the main pot is, which is only like 250. So there is money on the side, but I don't know, because moving all in here just seems to, I mean, you might get called by a naked jack here, but I feel like you might also just drive out all the hands that you want to get called from, which are sets and two pair and things like that.
Yeah, and like I said, it goes with like the history and I guess bluffs I've done in the past that I would line this way. But like the 8 of clubs came, that ruled out 9-8 of clubs. And I was like, there's only one hand, right? And that's I'm seeing it wrong. Like, I didn't want to check, because if she bets, I feel like I have to call. And if I bet small, like,
well, you have a
a
really, really awkward stack size, right? Because if you go 400, right, and then she jams, the pot's going to be like 2,400, 400 for you to call, which is very, very hard to fold there, getting 6-1, you know what I mean, with the nut straight, because somebody might do it with a jack. But so, you know, this is one of these spots where you could sort of block call, you know, possibly get somebody to induce like a jam with a jack, like 300 call, something like that. Because again, like when you check raise turn, your hand isn't usually going to be clubs either. So I could see a scenario where somebody jams a jack here. So I might go 300 call here instead of just open jamming myself, which if you open jam, you very well might get sets and stuff like that to fold. Whereas if you block here, those ones might even call. It's just very unfortunate of, you know, sort of your stack sizes. But okay, so here are jams, and what happens?
Button tanks forever again, and then calls, and has queen jack of clubs.
Yeah, I don't know what she's tanking with though. I mean, what is she thinking?
I don't know. I don't know what she thought I had. I thought I had way the best hand. When she took forever, I was like, I'm good, and I wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know if jamming here for 800 when that club comes in after the check raise call is going to be the best line that I want to take. Again, you know, I'm not a huge fan of block betting. This might actually be a time to do it, but this might actually be a block call because you might get a jack to sort of jam on you. But it's very interesting, and it's very unfortunate for you. But I do want, one of the things to take away from this is that it's always interesting with main pots and side pots, and it would skew me towards wanting to do a lot of leading on the turn because draws are going to check back, although the button did raise. So that might indicate that her hand is more skewed towards made hands that will bet again on the turn. Yeah, very, very interesting call. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.